So after the Suicide Squad reveal, all of the different concerns, the debacle, and so on and so forth, I can't help but say that I've seen so many comments that have mentioned something along the lines of, man, how come Rocksteady go from making these Arkham, masterpieces to making a game that they call Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League that looks like insert your description or perceived description of Suicide Squad game and so on and so forth. But the story is actually much more, I would say, nuanced than that, because was the Arkham games perceived overall to be a masterpiece? Did everybody feel the same way? Were there criticisms, and how were the criticisms levied, and what descriptions were used by gamers back then to describe how they felt whenever they didn't follow the general opinion of the googly eye, rose tinted lenses opinions like I had, which I was like, no, this game can do no wrong, right? And on going back, which I've already done my homework in the past, I get to see that it wasn't all roses. It was actually very interesting because a lot of the different opinions that we saw then were very interesting. One of my audience members said to do a long form version of these critiques or analysis of these critiques so that we can kind of get a sense as to how gamers, in a sense, saw the Arkham Knight game when it first released. So let's jump into this video today. This video is actually one that was done by a YouTuber named Mulekick_media, and shout out to you. This is your video, so we're going to be taking a very interesting glance at this, and it's going to be interesting to hear the thoughts therein. So let's jump in. The intro is kind of interesting because they hadn't played the game first, and they made some opinions and some reactions, and then they played the game, and it was very interesting to see. So
view for the game and gave it a 10 out of 10. Honestly, now that I've beaten the game, pretty much gotten all of the trophies apart from 2 or 3 on my PlayStation 4, I could easily say that Arkham Knight no longer even deserves to be titled as the best game of this year. Like, I see so many people saying the Arkham Knight Game of the Year contender, when, in my opinion, this game would only just scratch the surface of a 7.5, because it honestly is such an underwhelming game, because up to the time that I had played the game when I reviewed it, I really liked it. I thought it was going to be a really decent game. But then as I started to trudge through it, I just realized how repetitive and boring the game became. Like, the Batmobile was way too big an influence. And it's just, I don't understand how on earth, Rocksteady could go from making Batman Arkham Asylum, which is in my opinion one of the best games on the PlayStation 3 on the 7th generation period, to this absolute fail. It blows my mind because
I'm as surprised as you are, okay, hearing these comments and these descriptives, because I could create a case and I can argue, point by point and counter a lot of what is said here. But I'm just showcasing these reviews to see, or these perceptions to see, because this individual actually rated the game 10 out of 10 at first. And then they went back to make this particular video, which is interesting. But some of the points that they make here are actually strong points. Not saying that I agree with them. I'm just saying that they're strong points overall. So that's interesting. That's just the intro. So let's keep going.
We were so hyped up for this game. I think, honestly, we all fell for this. We all were so hyped up for the game. We thought the game was going to be really epic and something massive and something new. But the problem is now that we've actually played the game, and we've basically just realized that we've all been tricked for marketing. Because, honestly, they say, though, the Batmobile and Batman, they're two of a kind. Bullshit. The Batmobile takes way too much priority in this game. It's like, I'll start now with the story. The story for me is one of the most disappointing stories of the Batman period. Like, the story in general, you could tell that Paul Dini was not involved with this story.
Wow, and many people have claimed that. It wasn't until later on I went back and I started looking at people's opinions about the story, and I felt like fans had something valid regarding that. You could tell that Paul Dini had some great writing, that, his involvement in the other Arkham games were quite significant. They were actually quite legendary, to say the most. I mean, if you kind of consider, the way things really did run with him, on the forefront, I can tell you that he seemed to be a really good influence overall. But let's continue though.
So many plot holes that it will absolutely blow your mind. Like, if Scarecrow's going to be gassing the whole city, but he sends a warning out to all the civilians, then who the fuck is he going to be gassing? The only people who will be gassing is his own men. So why the fuck would you warn people to get out of the city if you are going to try and use it to gas?
By the way, there's a lot of strong language here. I mean, I probably would get demonetized for this one, but hey, it is past the first 30 seconds. I didn't know, and I'm not going to bleep it out. So I apologize in advance. I'll probably put a notification in the comment section in case you're watching around kids. I usually try to make my content kid friendly, but didn't really know about this one. But it is, we're already in it. So let's keep going.
Everyone. It makes zero sense. And then, if you thought that was it, no, there's still more to come. You remember that cure bullshit from Arkham City? Well, it turns out it actually turns you into Joker. It doesn't kill you like it almost did with Batman in Arkham City. No, because they scrapped that out the window because they forgot Arkham City events fucking existed. And also, how the fuck can Batman turn into Joker if he's already had the cure? The reason that the 4 people who are locked up turned into Joker was because they didn't get their cure. So why the fuck is Batman turning into a Joker? I don't know. Maybe they just didn't play Arkham City. It's ridiculously stupid. I don't understand why on earth Rocksteady would try and do this. It's like as if they're all just forgotten the events of City and are treating this as a new continuity. It blows my mind. Why the fuck would you do this? Arkham City at least had a decent story of what it was trying to tell.
All right. I get it. A lot of incoherence in the story. That's a pretty strong argument. You cannot necessarily counter 100%, all of that. Even if I was creating a strong defense, I would have to still concede at some point that, it seemed like it seemed like it is quite apparent that there are story and plot holes that were in the Arkham Knight story. That's very interesting. So let's go to another section where, this content creator talks about presentation, which is the next section in the game. So let's see what he says.
It was just bullshit. And that ending as well. That fucking ending that's supposed to end the whole series. When in fact it's basically just, teasing with your new fucking trilogy. It's bullshit. That's not how you end a series. It isn't. It just isn't. Why the fuck would you end it? And even worse is the fact that you have to 100% the game just to get an extra cutscene that confuses you even more as to whether this is going to be the final game in the series. Like, story's just bullshit. I hated this.
Yeah, that ending was kind of weird. Again, I like Arkham Knight. I easily would say, don't care. That's how I would put it. But again, this is an exercise to see what I'm willing to accept in a different video game and what many people are willing to accept in a video game. Okay, they broke down their video to different sections, but man, it's just a lot of like them just spitting their opinions raw. There's also a gameplay section. Let's go ahead and look at this gameplay section. It'll be interesting. It'll probably blend in and still be a lot of BS and cussing going on.
All know this is coming. I absolutely hate the Batmobile when it is in tank mode. Like, when you're roaming around, normal driving, it's fun. But when you use the Batmobile as a fucking tank and it becomes Arkham Tank Simulator, that's just not fun. It's just not fun to play. It's really just bad. Like, these combat sections as well, they're so easy, but there's so many of them. Like, they don't even present and the worst part is that they all get easy. And then all of a sudden, like in the last half an hour of the game, you have this boss battle where there's like 70 to 80 of these fuckers, and you have to take down every single one. And at this point, when I was playing the game, I was like, nah, I cannot be arsed with this shit. Just fuck off. I cannot be bothered. And it was absolute bullshit. I hated just all of the combat sections. They were so annoying and irritating, and they just really confused me, like, as to why Rocksteady thought that this would be fun to do. Like, as I said, driving around in the city and then taking people down, like, with the missiles that come out of the Batmobile, like, while you're driving normally, that's fun. That's making me feel like Batman.
Okay. I like the fact that he is at least, and I understand, beating on the Batmobile. I like aspects of the Batmobile. Number one, I mentioned this in many videos, mechanics wise, I'm a sucker for that Batmobile. That thing is clean. It's beautiful the way it drives. It is amazing the way it rides through the city. I mean, it's just insane. It is better by far than what, the developers at Warner Bros. Montreal pulled off with the Bat bike. But again, they actually did provide another layer in traversal by giving all the knights a unique traversal mode. They could have made it generic, everybody have the same gliding, and then they could have worked on the bike to be as smooth as the Arkham games, but they spread themselves a lot. So I still say, as much as people may complain about Gotham Knights traversal, I'm willing to kind of give the developers more leeway and lenience in saying, you guys did a lot when it came to traversal, a lot more than the Arkham games, because the Arkham games, they basically honed down their traversal over the course of multiple games as basically a similar style of traversal, adding a few number of new elements to them. I'm not saying those elements are minimal. I'm just saying new. I mean, I know each element, like the fear takedown sequences, those are beautiful game development work. I mean, I'm not minimizing that at all. I mean, you guys know, far be it from me, as somebody who wants to, be better as a game developer, I can tell you that those systems are just beautiful. So I can understand him basically making the nuance. And I saw something, somebody said something about, let's just keep going.
My Batmobile turns into a tank. I don't feel like Batman, alright? It's just not fun to play. And the worst part is how all of the missions are basically designed around the Batmobile. Like, you have missions where literally you have to put loads of effort in just so you and the Batmobile can be reunited. Like, it annoys me so much, and I mean, that's why I was so happy when the Batmobile originally got crushed in the story. But then obviously he gets a new one, and then I just got depressed. But the Batmobile sucks dick, and the worst part is...
He said he got a new one, and I just got... This guy's not happy. Let's look at his side mission side. I mean, just, a lot of it is a rant, but hey, let's look at this. Let's see what he has to rant about here when it comes to his section on side missions.
I mean, all the other side missions I just found boring. I mean, Riddler's fucking racetracks he builds on the ground really do stretch the definition of the word riddle. I mean,
those racetracks were absolute trash, though. Anyone who says anything otherwise, you gotta talk to me, man. I gotta see you, man. Those racetracks, they frustrated me, man. In my first playthrough, I was not having it. I can understand. I remember one of the tank battle missions. It was the one where you fight the Arkham Knight underground. I just finished the one that you kind of like, fight him and his 6 scorpion or spider tanks or some nonsense like that, right? And then I'm fighting against him underground. I remember that night we lost power in our house, and a buddy of mine was like, "Hey man, you guys and your family come over to our place. We'll just have like the kids have a sleepover and something like that." So I took my PlayStation 4. And he was the one who basically picked up the game. I guess I was a noob back then, or I was just frustrated. And he was like, oh, yeah. He'd never played it before. So he's like, this is actually pretty cool. I'm like, dude, if you know what I had gone through to get here. And he beat that, underground mission for me in that playthrough on my PS4 back then. And it was just funny to go back and see how those sections frustrated me. But the googly eyes, they kept me pushing through. Oh, yeah, Batman's my dude, so I got to keep playing this game. So I can understand some of his frustrations here. Now that he's saying it, it's basically pulling my mind back to all of those different issues. And, honestly, when people talk about, the Arkham Knight game, you got to say, I think it's just from a place of people just easily forgetting. They beat on their games when the games come out, and then later on, they use those games as these so-called landmarks that can't be wrong, or nothing can be done wrong when it comes to them. So let's keep going, though. It's interesting.
I mean, the only honest side mission that I actually liked was the Professor Pig murder side missions, where he basically has all them people and he dissects parts.
Yeah, that mission's actually pretty
decent.
decent.
In their face. I like that side mission, but then it just reminded me a bit too much of Hush's side mission from Arkham City. But yeah, I just didn't enjoy the side missions at all. And then, last but not least, we have the DLC. This has got to be one of the worst video games for DLC I have seen, period. It is...
Okay, so when it comes to Arkham Knight's DLC, I have to say that I enjoyed A Matter of Family. I really enjoyed it. That was actually done by Warner Bros. Games Montreal. I think some other DLC stuff was done by them, but I know A Matter of Family was done by them. But it was done for Rocksteady. And I did enjoy that DLC overall. However you want to put it, I think it's something that was enjoyable. And, which other games have good DLC that we can compare to in the Arkham universe? I guess we can go to Spider-Man, where they actually, dropped the City That Never Sleeps DLC. That was a solid set of DLC. So Insomniac took it to the whole next level with their Spider-Man game. So yeah, I can see where there are shortcomings, and coming from the PS3 era where there were some really, really solid games, I can see how Arkham Knight disappointed, honestly. Keep going, though.
It's retarded as fuck how bad some of this DLC was. Like, of course.
I mean, I can understand. I can definitely get it. I really feel, this guy's pain for some strange reason. I mean, even though I'm a huge Arkham fan, I really do feel his pain.
Of course, you had the first DLC, which of course the Batgirl DLC. That was absolutely terrible. I didn't buy that DLC. I played it at one of my friends, and it was so bad.
Interesting. That was a DLC that I actually did like.
I really find this game hard to give a score because the score always fluctuates for me between a 6.5 and a 7. But
wow, them are fighting words, bro. Solid fighting words. At this point, I think I'm just going to go ahead and stop the video. And I really want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I mean, are you surprised when it comes to how people kind of perceive the game back then and the points that they made? If you disagree with those points, let me hear in the comment section, because I hear people say this so much, like, oh, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. How could they have gone from making this really solid game to, making this game that I don't really want to play or whatever it is? And, the truth is, maybe they did see these responses and these reactions from, the hardcore gamers and some of the community members, and maybe they'd gotten to the end of their, developing of the Arkham games and were like, let's move to something different. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.